coming up next on Her Business Playbook.
All right, well, maybe we didn't explain it well. Maybe we need to break it down more. So it's like that constant back and forth. I do think communication is really key of expectations and what you want, and then finding ways to message that really consistently throughout your time.
Her Business Playbook is presented in partnership with the Columbus Chamber of Commerce. Hi, team. Today's guest knows what it takes to win at the highest level. I'm heading to interview Katie Smith, assistant coach for The Ohio State University women's basketball program, a three-time Olympic gold medalist, WNBA champion, and a member of the Hall of Fame. Throughout her legendary career, from dominating on the court to now developing elite athletes from the sidelines, Katie has built a reputation for discipline, toughness, and championship leadership. Don't forget to check out part 1 of our interview where Katie takes us behind the scenes of her workspace at the Schottenstein Arena on a typical game day. Our sit-down interview delves into the mindset behind sustained excellence and what any business leader can learn from elite sports. Welcome to the Playbook, Katie. Let's go. We appreciate you having us here, being able to interview you behind the scenes.
I know. You get to see our spot where we spend a lot of our days.
Oh, I'm sure. And what a great place to spend it in. Yeah. I'm a little biased being an alumna of The Ohio State University, and I know you're super proud as well. We have a lot planned for the interview. We're going to do a part 1 and a part 2, but let's jump right in.
Okay.
Can you remember a brand that made a big impression on you as a young person growing up? It could be food brand, sports brand. What made a big impression that even to this very day, you think about?
I mean, honestly, being an athlete and somewhat sporty, throughout my life, but like Nike was like everywhere. I mean, it was during that time in the 80s, 90s. So, Jordan and all of that, and then just being an athlete and their commercials and all, it was just like, it was somewhat iconic during that sense. So, and I would cut out Sports Illustrated and put the athletes on my locker. You know what I mean? Just like make a collage of everything. Mm-hmm. But Nike was like a big deal, like it was. And even back in the day, like Champion, but like that Nike was kind of like the thing at that point. It was just hot. And then with Jordan and all the stuff that was going, all those commercials and stuff was kind of my, I love that back then.
Yeah. It's one of the best and strongest brands still to this very day. It's hard. We get a lot of responses regarding Nike.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm just like a Nike girl.
Yeah.
Like I do. I enjoy it. I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
But back then it was still kind of cool. It was just like, you just kind of fell in love, and the way they kind of advertised this stuff was like right up my alley.
Absolutely.
I'm not a sneakerhead though. I mean, I do have more than I need.
Okay.
But I don't know the names and like the new ones, like these kids.
Yeah.
Like it's impressive in the way they wait in line and things.
Yeah.
Like it's cool, but I don't know how to, I like sneakers because I like to wear those, but I don't know them.
Yeah. And I love all of the like personalization that's happening now and the cool colors and
I love it as it's business casual now as sneakers.
Anybody can do it.
Amazing.
Right?
Okay.
Thank God for our feet.
Exactly.
So what inspired you to step into coaching? Is there something that a lot of people don't know about your pathway that made you, beyond all of your tremendous legacy and achievement in athletics, was there anything else that people don't know that inspired you to step into coaching?
It's kind of hard because I can't say that I wanted to be a coach. Like my life is, basketball it was not going to be a career. Like I grew up where no professional sports was, for women were in the States. You would have to go overseas. I didn't grow up watching professional women's basketball. I was going to be a dentist like my dad. And, you get recruited and by all means go to college and get a free education and do what you love. But it was then move on and get a career and go get a job and something else. And then, the 1996 Olympic team was set the stage for 2 leagues, had a chance to then go play. And I was like, all right, I'll go play and then defer dentistry. And, then I wanted to be an Olympian. And 17 years later, I was playing basketball. And it was more I went and got my master's in medical dietetics because, you know, basketball is very, job security is not the highlight of coaching and or playing. So I was like, okay, so what if this doesn't work out? But I really was like, I don't want to coach. Same life, missing a lot of things. It's not your schedule, dealing with kids like me. Like your job is controlled by, you know, whatever age, whether it's high school, college, or pros. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And then, you know, I didn't really have anything planned, I guess, maybe. I was like, Bill Lambier, one of my coaches, he said, come play your last year in New York and then move over to the bench the following year. I was like, all right. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I didn't have anything like set in stone. I love the game. I love being in the gym. I love all of it. The coaching side is way different. So I was like, okay. And then here we are. I finished my, you know, playing career. I move over and, you know, I started to fall in love with that.
Okay.
And started to learn that side because it is different than playing. But I can't say that I was like, I want to be a coach. Now, I love the game. I could think the game. You know, you can learn the other aspects of what it is on that side, which is very different than playing. But it kind of fell in my lap a little bit. Maybe procrastination. Maybe ultimately I kind of wanted to stay in it, but didn't know. But that's kind of how I ended up in it. And then once I got in it, I enjoy it. I enjoy all that it comes with. It's challenging, but it's also, I mean, it's a joy to come to work every day with your coworkers, your players, and all of that. So kind of not necessarily planned, but maybe deep down in the back of my head, I really didn't want to not be a part of basketball. So that could have been it. So it's a little bit of a not planned, but ultimate maybe down there it was something I wanted to stay a part of.
You know, nothing wrong with that. A lot of times career journeys are, you know, winding roads, and where you land, you make the best of it, and you certainly have. So beyond the coaches that shaped your college, high school, of course, but also college and professional career, are there any other college coaches or professional coaches who you really admire?
Yeah. I love, I've been able to, I worked under Cheryl Reeve, who I think she's with the Minnesota Lynx. She coached me in Detroit as an assistant, but she is elite. I think she's the best in the business, men or women. I think she's just elite in so many areas. Lucky to call her a friend, but also a mentor, and learned a bunch from her. I think Dawn Staley, I've always loved Dawn. Dawn and I were teammates with the Olympic team, and we played against each other for years. I like Dawn as a person. She's always been real. She works her tail off. She treats people well. She's obviously built something in South Carolina, not only on the floor, but off, the interaction, the engagement. She's just worked her tail off and really cares, and she cares about the game. And not just South Carolina. She cares about women's sports and women's basketball. So it's bigger than that. I think Tara Vanderveer out of Stanford is another one who I respect and really value my interactions with her. Obviously, she started here as a coach at Ohio State and then went out to Stanford. You know, those are some of the ones that probably I look up to at the moment, is just I really respect and have they have impacted my life, especially Cheryl Reeve, who I've just kind of came under. But Dawn, just in general, always somebody who I'm like, man, you know, Dawn's doing her thing in so many ways. And I respect that because she uses her platform to impact lots and lots of people and lots of women.
Great iconic brands, many of them. Since we're on the topic of personal brands, what do you think other people think when Katie Smith, because it's an iconic name, what do you believe are some of the first characteristics that come to mind?
Hardworking, loyal, excellence, fun, kind, normal, authentic maybe, it might be the word. You know, unassuming in a sense, but those would be some of a competitor, you know, and people probably Those would probably be some of the things I would say folks would probably say.
Yeah. What do you think the role that Logan, Ohio played in
I
the
mean,
past?
that's who I am. You know, I mean, I grew up supported. You know, my parents put me in all kind of stuff, but like our community, like we sold out all of our games. You know, they traveled to all the rival league games. You know, one of my favorite experiences was we were in the state finals against Pickerington, who had an excellent basketball, you know, reputation, and he had them in the states every year. Like St. John Arena, my senior year was sold out. And it was like all purple and white. They were purple and white. We were like, basically, they were like the last person to leave Logan, turn the light off. It was just, you know, you felt supported by everyone. Your teachers, my first grade teacher, second grade teacher, all those guys, my kindergarten teacher, all came to my games. And they had sweatshirts with the, you know, they actually claimed me. They're like Katie Smith's, you know, first grade teacher. You know, so it was like lucky for them. It might take some heat at games. But it was just like, I think it was just like you felt like you could do anything. So it was a great place to grow up.
How do you believe that your personal brand has evolved over time from player to coach? Maybe things that you were known for as a player, as you have mentioned, and maybe those characteristics that you're more known for now as a coach and leader of a team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, part of me thinks like it hasn't changed. Like, it's kind of the way, you know, I always, you know, pride myself in treating people well and everyone well and respected, no matter where you're at. Like, if you're the head coach, you're an assistant, you're a video, whatever. Like, I just feel like we all are bringing something to the table. We all have a job to do. We're all learning. I think on this side of it, I think as you grow and you mature and you get older, it's more about sharing things that either worked well, didn't work well, sharing your experiences. And all you can do is share yours. Like, mine are mine. And I can give you, and in everybody else's world, it could be different. But I can share what I see or feel and try to be as honest as possible. I feel like my word, like if somebody, when I was scouting or somebody says, hey, what do you think about this player? I'm going to tell you how I truly feel, not bashing anybody, but tell you like the pros, the cons, the positives, negatives, whatever, and being honest, because I want people to respect my opinion. And it's not just telling you, just because I like the kid, I'm going to tell you that they're amazing on the floor. Telling you that they have some deficits or some things they can work on doesn't mean you don't like the kid. It almost is like people that care enough critique you and share the things that you need to work on. The ones that are just like, yeah, you're great, aren't the ones that.
Yeah.
So I guess I think it's just you want to impact others. I think when you're younger, it's like, it's more me, you know, like, what am I doing, what I need to do, like me. And I think as you continue to grow and learn, you realize like how many people poured into you and the gratitude, but like now it's my time to give back, but also come to work every day and provide and learn and keep growing, not just standing put. Like it is about me every year bringing something. Like, I got to add something. I got to be better at something. I have to critique myself. So I think just as you get older, you just want to continue to do a great job, and then uplift and bring people along and give them everything you can. And then obviously it's their journey to take and do with, because, you know, I had my journey too. I made my own decisions, good, bad, and different. Like, I should have listened to my folks more, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'll give you what you need, and I'll give you what I know, but it's going to be your world. It's your life, your decisions. And just like, we'll support you, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm sure the players all appreciate that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I probably annoy them a little bit because I'm a little bit of a kind of like, but in general, I care. Again, basketball is a job, and it is a huge identity of who we are. And even myself, like, basketball's, I mean, it's kind of who I am. I guess if you can say my brand, I'm a basketball player, basketball coach, basketball in some form. But for them, it isn't. Your performance on the court doesn't. Wins and losses don't dictate your value as a person and who you are. You know what I mean? You lose a game, you don't play well. Like, okay, sun comes up tomorrow. Like, let's get better. So it's also instilling them in there. Like, the sun's gonna come up tomorrow. It was okay, rough day. Like, but I think you get better with it in time and understanding like this is a process, but also loving up on them and understanding like that doesn't dictate how many points you score, doesn't dictate who you are and how you do your business and things. So it's like always reminding them that there's more to it and just kind of keeping their minds right.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the basketball team's brand. What do you believe are some of the first words that come to mind when people hear the Ohio State University women's basketball program?
Exciting. I think it's the style of play is exciting. I think the kids, I think our players' kids, young women are unique and, diverse and just like they're great humans. They're approachable. They engage, they interact, successful. We still are trying to win some of the major championships, get back on top in a couple ways, but I think successful would be, the program's been consistently successful. I think, and then there's, and other ways, I think there's ways we can increase our brand and try to define it a bit. But it's one of the major sports, not just college sports, but in Columbus is obviously football, you have soccer, you have some other, the crew, but for women's sports, it's kind of a major piece that I feel like has a brand, but also could be better almost. So
we've been talking a lot about that. Sometimes there are these gaps. There's great things and that people readily know, but then there's things that you wish they knew more or appreciated. What is a gap, speaking of you mentioning working on raising the profile or brand of the team, what's one thing that you guys are working on to try to raise the profile?
I think, for me, it's connecting in with the community. We've had an event, you were part of it, and with the International Women's Forum, it's allowing them to see more than just, college has changed for a lot of these young people. They hardly go to class. A lot of them can do all their stuff online. They don't necessarily live on campus. They just play basketball and have their kind of close-knit friends. Some have the typical college experience and going to class. So everybody's got a different journey. But I want them to I feel like my job is to expose them to what Columbus, especially with successful women and leaders, because I think Columbus has many, and also that these women in our community want to be a part and impact and help them grow as young people as they go out into the world, because the world that we're living in is rough for women, but I feel like that's my job, is to connect them to feel more a part of and feel supported and have these resources where when they do go out in the real world, they're like, all right, I've met some people. I feel comfortable kind of talking to people in those areas. So I feel like that's probably my biggest kind of thing I want to do is I want to make them feel more connected and understanding what this community is. And not just, Ohio State, but also Columbus, that there's more to it than just like playing basketball, going to school. And that network of, you know what I mean? And then no matter where life takes them, they kind of like, what, I feel, I've been exposed to something more because there's a lot more than just this here. And I felt like I had that. I really got some really great people in my life throughout college. Partly my parents helped me. Barbara Fergus was one of my mentors who was like sponsored my scholarship at that time. She kind of brought me along in different areas. And then it got me in rooms with different people. And then I'm just like, why am I here? But I met amazing women and like successful women. And then I felt more comfortable being in those spaces. Sometimes feeling a little inferior that I hadn't done anything. I played basketball, you know what I mean, in my world. But it allowed me to be around people who are successful and forward thinking and, doing their own. But we also made me see like we're all the same. We're all the same. Like it's not, we all have the same kind of struggles in our own. So it allows you to feel like, oh, okay, there's things I got to work on and I want to do. And some people are really good in certain things and other people are really good, but you bring something to the table, but that the network of people wanting to help you succeed is there. So I think that's my one thing I want to get to is I want them to feel like they have a network and they're exposed to things. What they do with it, totally, but hopefully down the road or whenever, like they're looking to try to do things or feeling like they know, like I can rely on this, this, and this. So that's kind of probably my biggest thing right now.
I love that thought, making the community a bigger part of the brand.
Yeah.
I love that. So how do you balance honoring tradition? There's a lot of great tradition around this place. It really is what makes this brand so great. But how do you balance that while building what is next as a leader?
It's challenging, but you have to be forward thinking. Like it's great. Like this is the way we always done it. Okay. Like even with basketball and coaching, the analytics piece. How do you use that to then move forward and help you assess talent, or how do you pinpoint the areas you need to get better at on the court, and like how does it? So even that, and then marketing and social media and events or all the things. I just think it takes a unit. It takes communication. It takes some creativity. Like I'm not a business person. Like it's not my thing, but I know people who have worked in sports on the business side and like picking their brains about ways to increase exposure or increase your fan base or increase engagement or how to have other streams of income and try to bring it in. So again, I know where I don't have the strength, but I do know people who have worked in this world who understand it. But then professional and college are different in a sense of your resources and staffs, and then how do you make it happen? But I do think it's like anything. If you wait for somebody to say, "Oh, you can do this," you're not probably going to get where you need to, or you're going to be waiting a while because people are busy. People don't have time. People don't. So if you want something to change or you want certain things to move forward quicker, I feel like as a unit, and I think, Dawn Staley does this so great, is like you create this is what we want, and almost implement like this is how you get it done. And then like those that need to check off and maybe say yes will be like, okay, well, we can do these, we can't do this, but at least you're not putting it on them to create it. You're the one. It's like, so then I think that can get things done sooner, but it also takes a lot of time, a lot of talk, and putting a plan together, which is also its own job.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the way to, if you do want it, but I do think you have to be forward thinking and like what's next, what are other people doing, best practices, even looking at professional sports, taking things. And again, not all of it can be done here or at a university or whatever it may be, but I think you can start by presenting, this is how you do it and this is what we'd like. Because then I think it's more apt to be done. Like you'd be able to get it done. But if you're waiting, you might be waiting.
Yeah.
Because everybody's busy. Everybody's got a zillion things going on.
One of the things that I've been dying to ask you is about the impact of NIL on the athletic program, on individual players' brands. If you could give an athlete advice about how to best leverage something like NIL to not just earn extra income, but to build their brand, what would your advice be?
Man, it's such a phenomenal thing. And our team right now is really, you would never know. Some of them get, make a decent amount of money for being a, 19, 20, 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Good humans, and just appreciate that about them. They don't, like, why am I signing this? Who's it for? You know what I mean? They do it. They're still not in that pay me for anything, which it happens. There's certain people, on the pro level, like, no, I can't do that. Or, it just is what it is. But I guess for them, I would say is kind of keep the main thing, because even when that in the pro level, it's once everything on the outside starts to trickle in, and if it affects your performance, it's going to take away from why you have these opportunities. So part of it is like it can never affect your job. Because if you don't do your job well, then those things are going to go away because you're not performing to a level of. And so part of it is making sure it doesn't impact you or your teammates. if it takes away from that. So I think that's one thing is just like if you continue to do amazing things here, these opportunities are going to continue to kind of grow for you. And then on top of it is you have to be available and you have to be approachable and you have to be like people have to feel connected. And I don't know how that is. My buddies are the stud buds. Like, I coached Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann, who created this whole like thing over the summer in the W. And it's just like, so is it your personality? Is it online? Is it like, you could do anything anymore and create that. But I always think like the main thing of why you created something, other things can come out of that and then your individual, style, creativity. But you have to be accessible. You have to kind of, but also you want success, you got to put yourself out there. And also if you put yourself out there, there comes criticism, good and bad. And then how you handle that. So again, trying to really be true to yourself. And at the end of the day, if you're proud of what you're doing, and you're not hurting your teammates, or I speak in basketball terms, but if you're not hurting your business and whatnot, then there's a place for it. But being aware that the things you do out there and the things you say, if you are part of a team or a business and stuff, it does have impact depending on what you're doing. So being aware that it's just not you always, so how that impacts. But I just think the main thing, keep the main thing the main thing. If you don't do your job well, those opportunities are going to go away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I want to talk with you about team. We use a lot of sports analogies with the playbook, and you talk about fumbles and recoveries, but team is such a big part of your life every day. And we know that being a winning team reflects what happens on the court, but let's talk about what happens off the court. As a leader of the team, what is critical behind the scenes to make sure that how they show up is reflective of the type of team that you want them to be?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, it comes to who you select. I think the recruiting piece, I think our staff, we have a couple folks that are really involved in recruiting. I think the type of people you bring is first and foremost a really important part. You have to enjoy being around them. They have to have somewhat of the values of teamwork and selflessness and hard working and being a competitor. So I think ultimately it comes down to initially like who you're recruiting, who you're bringing into this space. And then I think there's a lot of communication, I think, is a big piece. I'm not the best communicator, and like hard conversations are not my favorite. But I think those that I've been under who are elite and the best of the thing, I think the constant communication and of expectations and not allowing people to go down these rabbit holes when there's no communication of like, oh my gosh, they must not like me anymore. They must not, you know what I mean? Like, I think like what their expectations are, this is why, this is who we are. And that's in meetings, that's in huddles, that's in like, it's purposeful and whatever, and making sure everybody's on the same page. So I do think communication allows people not to go off into the deep end where they're like, I wonder, you know what I mean? When we get in our own heads, it could be real dangerous. And think about kids, or youngsters. Like they're thinking like it's the end of the world. Like they didn't even like look at me today. So that miscommunication. So I think communication is key. Keeping everybody kind of on the same page, both players, staff, everything. I think it's a constant. And then it's putting in the work, and then I think it's emphasizing the things you want to see. Like, you know what I mean? The things like, and not allowing the stuff that is detrimental to both on the court and off, of making sure you're getting that out or talking about it or sharing or have individual conversations or whatnot, to make sure that it doesn't like, you can't just be like, oh, I'll just let it go. So I guess having a standard, but also like, again, if I'm in my head have a standard, but I never told you what my standard is, but then I'm going to yell at you, but I never told you what, it's like I have to be clear, I have to explain, and then I have to teach. I can't just I can't get mad at you for something I didn't teach well, or I didn't teach at all. So it's also critiquing yourself throughout all this too. It's like, not one person on the team got what we were saying, and we did not do it very well. Now, is it their fault or is it our fault? So then we have to go back and like try to learn how to, all right, well, maybe we didn't explain it well. Maybe we need to break it down more. So it's like that constant, what do we need to do? How to, did we communicate it well enough? Did we do, what I mean? So it's like a constant back and forth of making, but I do think communication is really key of expectations and what you want, and then finding ways to message that really consistently throughout your time. So
I wanted to ask you a fumble and recovery question.
Okay.
We try to be a little transparent here,
Yeah.
because as you, I think, alluded to, it can look very glamorous. And there's so much that happens in order to get to a win, or even a big loss sometimes that just people don't quite understand, the setbacks, if you will, and the resilience that is required.
Yeah.
Can you talk about a setback that shaped you into a stronger leader?
Honestly, I have a couple. I mean, you could, like, playing was like, you know what I mean? Probably not on necessarily winning teams, but you performed well, but your team wasn't great, having like really high expectations for yourself. But, part of that, I had a couple teammates, really good friends, who I was hard on myself, but I was also hard on others. But like, so it helped me kind of shape how I talk to people, like on the court, and like it's not you guys need to do, you know what I mean? It was like, I'm ultimately going to push myself as hard, but it was also like, how do you endear yourself and how do you connect better with like teammates? It wasn't like, oh my gosh, you guys are terrible. It was more like that competitive fire, but kind of channeling it in a way that was better and more apt to bring everyone along. And I think as I got older in that, you realize what I bring to the table is not necessarily what you bring to the table. I may be able to think through things like this. You have teammates who can't remember plays, but then you realize, how do I use that as their strength, and then also make my expectations more realistic and not be so hard on things that like we all have our things, but how do I use that for them? How do I not put them in that position? So as a player, I had some teammates that kind of helped me navigate that. But more recently, when I started to coach, I was an assistant for a while under Bill Lambier, and then ended up being the head coach at New York. It was a challenging period. Partly our team was up for sale. We were in between owners. And I probably wasn't as prepared as I would. I knew enough to be dangerous, but I didn't have a lot of experience behind the doors. I only had one coach basically in the back, watching film, kind of how they do things. I knew like playing under people, but it's very different on the other side of how they prep. We only hear half of it, like as players, of what the coaches are like discussing and talking about, and you know what I mean? There's so much more going over here that we actually know. So taking over the New York job was great. A lot of fun, great things, but also a lot of challenges. Ultimately, the new owner didn't renew my contract, so it wasn't a head coach, and now it was like, what now? Do I want to do this? Am I any good at it? You know what I mean? I didn't do a great job, honestly, when it comes to wins and losses. Like, you look at it like that, wasn't, it was, but there was like, oh man, is this even for me? Is this like all this stuff? So Cheryl Reeve from Minnesota, who, as I said, I played for, and then Bill Lambier, who had gone to Las Vegas, both offered me a job, become an assistant coach with them. And I'd already been under Bill, and a great opportunity in Vegas, but then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to Minnie. So I went with the Lynx under Reeve. And I had never worked under her as a coaching side. And after my 5 years there, right before I came here, being with her and everything, the way she ran things, her communication, the way she challenged, the way she prepped, details, the conviction behind stuff. I feel like I'm 10 times better or 100 times better to be able to go and coach or lead, head coach, assistant, whatever it is. I feel absolutely prepared to do my job at a much better level, way more prepared, and learned so much during that. So I feel like this little blip, like this last 5 years, and I'm, 40, I'm 51, but like it literally didn't happen until I was, 46, 45 years old. is this during this little 5-year stretch that has allowed me to feel like I can go lead and coach or be a head coach, be an assistant, but be the best coach possible, and feel really comfortable in that space. So so that was huge in my development as a coach and a leader. So yeah. So kudos to Reeve. I already told her. I said, you're pretty awesome. So
There's something about those bumps in the road.
Yeah,
right?
they do. Sometimes you don't know why, and what do I got to do? And then ultimately, after you get out of it, you're like, that's the best thing that ever happened.
So what's next for you personally when you look at the leadership landscape?
I don't know. Coaching's it's its own little beast. Very happy where I'm at right now. I'm home. I came back. Being at Ohio State was really a personal thing. My mom has some dementia and aphasia. My wife and kiddos. Time of life is honestly a huge reason I came home. There's so many things basketball, the young people, the getting reconnected in Columbus and Ohio State and all of that, just so many positive things. I love the WNBA. I miss a good bit of that, but this has been a new challenge in a lot of ways and really kind of stretched you a little bit, with all the things that go on to college athletics, which is very different than the pros. But I don't know. Staying coaching. I like where I'm at right now and enjoy it. But in this career, it could be next year, it could be a couple years, it could be anything at any point. But just kind of honestly, it's just trying to continue to grow here, hone, who I want to be, continue to learn and add to my basketball knowledge, my leadership knowledge, my connections, how do you get things done, how to get these players, connected in community. So it's just trying to grow myself in this space. And then whatever opportunities come, whenever they come, or I'm just going to be right here doing hopefully a great job in my space.
Katie, thank you so very much for having us today, being able to come onto the court and behind the scenes. You have a game tonight, so just
big one.
Juggling and fitting this in. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you. Thanks.
And then also what you're doing to impact your players today, but the players tomorrow. You have had such a ripple effect. We can't thank you enough.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and watching. We want to thank our presenting sponsor, the Columbus Chamber of Commerce, Brainstorm Media, and Kylie Lovesy Design. Listen and watch wherever you get your podcasts and visit us online at herbusinessplaybook.com.